Hello everyone, we start a new chapter together in this lesson. In this lesson, the topic is ORM. What is this ORM? What is our purpose in using it for ORM? We will explain the concept and then I will talk about ORM tools with you. However, the process approach with the bridge between the database and our coding structure. We share the purpose of use of our ORM tools. So, what is the database approach? I will talk about them. However, I would like to underline that, in fact, each chapter we will cover next in large and comprehensive enough to be an education itself. So, you can't do into all of that in detail. If we want to mention it in detail, our training can take a minimum of 200 hours. I am training to create a certain infrastructure that will be useful for you by giving full information without being too short for 200 hours. That's the purpose of Bootcamp training anyway. To have ideas, to have information and to be able to be built on them the information we will learn. I want to point this out again and again. Now, first of all, what is ORM? Let's explain the meaning of the words. Let's literally get to work. Using object-oriented programming language to give us change in database access and data, and it's a structure that allows us to make inquiries. That's what ORM is. So, the ORM technique. An object that you remember actually everything in a programming language. An object is an object. ORM, on the coding side, it gives a virtual equivalence of a table that we have created in database virtually. So it's an extra layer of data between the ORM database and the application. We will do an example of this in this feature. It's located as the data layer. This layer is presented as a library written in object-oriented programming language that we usually use. For example, I am speaking for the .NET environment and for Entity frameworks such as Hibernate. If we talk about Java, of course, there are also ORM tools such as Apache. As you can see in the figure here, we actually have a relational database and our object on the coding side performs a map operation. We usually perform the mapping operation on the data layer in order to have the name unity. Then, if you wish, transactions are made through a copy of abstract table created on this data layer. We usually do this with the business layer. In this layer, of course, by breaking it down in our next chapter, I will try to show you how to transform it to business layer. Let's move on. Why ORM? Let's answer that. First of all, we said in the previous slide to answer why ORM. We said that by creating an abstract copy of our columns in our database, we would pay us back. In other words, it tries to minimize our close one-to-one relation in the database. And you don't need to know database programming language you have worked in. So you only write your data model once. And once we have written our data model, it's easier to update, maintain, and reuse the code. Because I am talking about controlling things on the coding side, that is, through a single platform. It's easier for us. Many things from database processing to localization are done automatically. It's easier for us. Let's make the coding a little cleaner than the ORM tools. As I said, because we will collect them on one platform, it will be easier for us to reach the code you have written somewhere. It becomes easier for us to follow. We don't have to write badly formatted SQL. What I'm really talking about here in this but coding programming language. And you can solve your transaction on coding with site without having to know the SQL language at a good level. It saves us time because we will be working on a single platform. Since we will be isolated from the database system, we can always do coding sites. When we use MS SQL one day and change the Oracle a week later, it's much easier for us to adapt the database. It addresses the specific parts of the database model software. But on this side, that is, on the coding side, when you make it all DLL and run it, we can use it in other place for your friends. this is a plus for us. I will say here you can compare the pros and cons, that is, the two together. As I just said, advanced element database dependencies. In addition, we do not know the Oracle programming language much as MS SQL, TSQL or PLSQL. Multiple. It can support relation operations, that is, object-oriented operation, and the ORM tools are open source. So, when we encounter any problems or have a suggestion, we can include it because our friends who are software architects are thinking a little more about this. Sometimes they have a good suggestion. They can't share the suggestion if they are not open source. That is, a community can be formed. If there is a community that is formed, they can make transaction or permissions or make requests through it. They can argue and ponder over the topic because sometimes things can be brought to a much higher level discussing. Well, everything's so beautiful. Is there no harm or disadvantage to this? Of course there is. Every technology can necessarily have a drawback of, in our approach, one of these disadvantage. This can lead to performance issues, because according to the quality of your code have written, can you increase or decrease your performance. Make sure this is absolutely in mind. From now on, we can say that you have the bug completely. It makes time to learn the ORM tool to use, but you can also spend that time learning the coding language on the SQL sites. But maybe learning the really used ORM tools may not match you later in the markets. Is it also risk? Yes, risk should be the back of our minds if it's a value, in my opinion, if it's an important issue. Because you use your ORM tools to abstract the work, you complete through the work on the developer backend side. So on coding sides, therefore we abstract our work. Since we have abstract, we cannot realize this when we need intervention on the SQL side, friends. This should definitely be in the back of our minds. Open the next page. Let's talk about the ORM tools. I will talk about ORMs in the continuation of this lesson. There are three most used platforms on the market: Java, .NET, and PHP for backends. I want to list the first things that came to mind for Java as follows. As you can see, for Java, there are 5 most used ORM tools on the screen. For .NET, it's a bit higher. Recently, Entity Framework Core and Stepper are especially popular because there are serious improvements because Microsoft supports the Entity Framework at the same time, both in terms of performance and extension methods that developers have written for linq and lambda query methods. I can say that for our flexibility make us much more effective and contributing. That's why we have already written for this purpose in this project. At Bootcamp we will use Entity Framework in our training project, which is the second series of training. I will give you an example here. Yes, I am completing this lesson here. I will try to give information about the next lesson, Entity Framework. See you!